Hey everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. But let's just get right into it today because we have the one, the only Ronald Richards.
Hey, David, how are you?
I mean, listen, I was going to start by asking you what is going on in your legal world today, but really, I guess I don't need to even ask because the Girardi indictment has come down.
In two different jurisdictions, if you could believe it, I was trying to locate the California indictment, which I just found, and I'm gonna post that while we're talking, actually, because it's so juicy.
It's so juicy. I mean, before we get to that, because I have some questions on that. I figured, I just want to clarify a few things because I think, I just want to learn a little bit more about you. But I think a lot of people are confused about, your involvement with this whole case. So my understanding is, you were initially appointed by the bankruptcy trustee to kind of and stop me if I'm wrong to kind of, and I think if I'm confused as a lawyer, some other people are possibly confused too. You were initially appointed by the bankruptcy trustee to kind of look into like any type of fraudulent transfer of assets from Tom to Erika. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because there is a lot of confusion sometimes because people are like, why do you talk about the Girardi case? And this is where the confusion is. I was tweeting, I've been on Twitter for over a decade, and I was tweeting about the Girardi matters and posting documents long before I got hired by the trustee. So my primary function was to follow the bankruptcy. I got involved like when the Chicago case, when I realized that he was going to actually steal the money and not turn it over, when the judge gave him the warning, like that was his time not to get indicted. He could have just said, he could have just wired the money and that would have been the end of the case. Like there would have just never been an issue, but he didn't have it by then. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I was getting coverage from different legal newspapers on, oh, this lawyer is actually tweeting all the documents and everything. And so that's what I was doing. Separately, the bankruptcy trustees law firm and I do a lot of business together on creditor issues. So they know my skills as a lawyer and special counsel. You have to have resources as a lawyer to take those cases. Like I have to advance all the money that the state doesn't pay anything. So they knew when they hired me, I was going to tweet about it and talk about it. I wasn't going to give up that function that I was, letting the public know everything that was going on. And the reason why they thought I'd be good is because Erika was always conscious about her brand. And I was exposing that the brand was a sham based on money that she shouldn't have got. And then we discovered, they had paid $25 million of her expenses, which was insane. So that's what was happening there.
And then that's how you got asked because you were already kind of speaking out. And then you stepped away on your own, technically, what? Just because, I mean, I know you made the statement that like you thought just focusing on Erika was kind of inconsistent with your bigger picture of kind of really speaking out about the whole case and going after everyone kind of involved.
Well, yeah, I stepped aside over a year ago. I did it for 9 months or something. The thing is, I have a lien on the recovery, and I donated a lot of time and money to put this case together. But this weird thing happened where I was trying to settle with Erika and kind of win some points with her legally with her lawyer, and then Edelson's firm wanted to sue her in Chicago, so I was directed to oppose the motion, but I couldn't oppose it because I'm only special counsel. So the general counsel opposed it. And then back then, Edelson and I get along very well now, but back then there was a disagreement because the trustee did not want the case going to Chicago. And then Edelson's firm dismissed the case. So it ultimately, and then refiled a racketeering case here. So this whole dispute turned out to be a waste of time and never had any impact. And it actually was unfortunate, but we then had a difference of litigation strategy because the trustee basically decided to then support the motion because Edelson was complaining that it was looking like we were working with Erika. There was all these things going on, and it turned out that we just had a difference of litigation strategy. It's not a big deal. It happens all the time, but I've got to do the case, especially if I'm on a contingency, the way I want to do it. Now we're all on the same page. I have other lawsuits against Erika for other clients. The current special counsel and I will split up the fee if he ever collects any money. He hasn't collected any yet, except for money from the earring purchase, and that's it. So it wasn't. It just happens. I wasn't going to stay on the case for another year and be told what to do, and I don't have any say. So that's why it's a difference. If I'm being paid by the hour, I'm a lot less opposed to being told what to do. But if I'm putting my time and money and I'm like a partner on the deal, but I can't collect the money in the way that I like to do it, then I'm not going to do it. One of the things I like to do if I'm going after a brand person like Erika's, I like to tweet about it, because I think the more she gets off the spotlight, the more emboldened she is to not want to settle because she thinks she's going to get away with it. So that I can't really obviously get into the nitty gritty, what the specifics are of why there was a difference in litigation strategy, but you can read between the lines without me revealing anything that's privileged.
So like the whole tweeting really is like a strategy that, it's not just Erika. Like if there was someone else, like that's just a strategy. I mean, obviously if the person's in the public eye, right.
If they care about what people write about, I'm going to tweet separately because I love my followers and people commenting about the case, and they always alert me to different things. That's a different concept. But for Erika, I definitely wanted to cover it because reporters don't cover her cases to the nuanced level that I do, because they don't get the records. And so that's a real journalistic service that I'm providing and that I'm going to continue to provide.
In this whole thing, because I never even thought about that, this whole thing, like if Tom just paid this money in the beginning, this whole thing would have gone away. He never would have been disbarred. They wouldn't have been.
Nothing would have ever happened. They would have said, sorry, it was a mistake. The judge would have never had a contempt. Everybody would have been happy. The thing would have been over.
Wow. And he just didn't have the money, or claimed he didn't, is what.
Yeah, that's when I was heavily calling him a crook at the time and really exposing it, knowing that he was going to fall apart.
And so from Erika's point of view, as far as liability, because there's so much talk of did she know? Did she not know? Like, is that really the crux of her whole exposure? Like if Tom transferred all of this to her and she just thought it was, a gift, or my loving husband, like, you know what I mean? Is that really the crux of this, or am I just oversimplifying that?
For a lot of people think Erika needs to have